Now, sales data shows that today is the biggest day for school uniform shopping, with parents up and down the country preparing to send their children back to school at the start of September. But during the cost of living crisis, many are finding it harder to afford the essentials. I'm delighted to say I'm joined now by Kate Hardcastle, MBE, who is encouraging parents to make or mend school uniforms before splashing out any money. So, some people might say, is that a little bit condescending there, make and mend?
Not being condescending at all. It's a lesson I've had to learn the hard way, Esther, and it's good to see you again. I think it's about trying to give us the confidence as parents that we can step outside of the messaging that seems to be all around us at this time of year about buying new. And there's a sustainability and environmental element to that, as well as the important one, which is trying to give people a bit of relief on their budgets right now. So I've gone through the process of learning how to do it. I was making all kind of schoolgirl errors. I mean, I thought fabric softener was all right on the uniform and tumble drying was all right in the uniform. But I've learned from the fabric experts that actually when you treat these items with a bit of TLC, they'll last longer. And when it comes to school shoes, particularly so. So I think it's not about doing anything other than giving a point of reassurance that we don't always have to fall into the trap of buying new.
Listen, Kate, you know, I agree with you. You're spot on. I think the other thing is I remember my mum, and most people do that, got me a skirt, my first year senior school. They sort of went down to the ground so it would last forever. Unfortunately, I didn't grow too much, so it remained down to the floor for the rest of my days. But the good thing now, when I went to school, you had to go to the school uniform shops, which were very expensive. Now the supermarkets are doing them, and you can get a bargain, can't you?
You can, but actually you will probably know, and it's always worth reminding people that if you buy against the buying cycle, you're always going to get the best deals. And sometimes when we can reach up a little bit in our budget by buying a bargain, but getting quality for that bargain, we can make those things last longer. I've been able to make shoes last longer with some tips from Start-Rite because they've taught me how to care for those leather shoes, making sure the kids just don't rip them off at the end of the day and unbuckling them and fastening them properly when they jump in puddles, which happens all the time with my son, putting in some crumpled up paper rather than just banging them on the radiator like I used to get that long last. And I've been able to make school shoes last a year, and the cost per wear is actually cheaper than some of the value brands that way. So I think it's not always about buying the cheapest, it's about buying the best value we can for our money. But if you're always going to be in a situation where in August you do have to buy a uniform, then it's going to be probably at its most premium level. I've been trying to buy against those shopping cycles, so at Christmas time, and then if I buy a few sizes up, putting them away for a rainy day, and then the kids can grow into them. And talk about buying sizes too big, I'm all about that. You can do it with shoes and get some wiggle room in there, but certainly Wonderweb is my friend. I am not a seamstress, but I do not mind hemming trousers to make them last a bit longer.
Yeah, and I think what, you know, would be your sort of number one advice to parents? I mean, because really what you're also saying to parents there is make sure your children are looking after their clothes as well. So it is a little bit of discipline to your children, isn't it? If you say, unbuckle your shoes properly, make sure you don't chuck them in a corner, make sure you polish them. So this really is a little bit of education of parents to children.
Look, I just want to make a bit of a wider point here, which I think we've got to do so much when it comes to our children's education on the basics and also on finances. We can be really worried that we don't want to overload that pressure, but children can be incredibly responsive to the idea that actually if they understand the value of things, they will help look after it too. And we've gone through that as a family. We've had to talk about money much more recently. They're going to pick up the messages anyway. So that reassurance of explaining what you're doing to try and counterbalance that within your budgets can actually really help them be really responsive and responsible to making things last longer. As I said, there's an environmental and ethical element to it too, because it means that less things end up in landfill. And also having a conversation. Let's take the taboo out of the challenge. Most of us, half of families and households are going to feel the stress point when it comes to finances over the next few months, if not already. So by having a conversation, look, can we swap some uniform? You've got a child older than mine. Having those friends groups, taking the pinch out of it, and having conversations amongst family and friends, I think it's one of the best things we can do for our mental health too. There's no hiding from the fact that costs are rising. So the more we can get inventive, look after things and have conversations about the realism of it all, I think the better. And children can be involved in that too.
Yeah, wise words. Share that sort of knowledge, share that experience, know what you're doing, how you're saving. And as you say, that's wise words there from Kate. Thank you very much indeed for joining us today. Coming up, I'll be speaking to former First Minister of Northern Ireland, Arlene Foster, about what she made of the candidates' pictures in Belfast yesterday.